Hey guys, Chris here. I want to do a video today talking about caffeine and being in the present moment. And what I've noticed from just over 2 months of cutting out caffeine is it's more that I'm accepting the present moment in the present moment, not really wanting something externally that can change that. And I realize now something like caffeine, like coffee, can really spike the dopamine and just really in that present moment, you're obviously like higher on that present moment, whereas you have the crash, right? You feel tired in the morning, so it's more that the day is more enjoyable, each of the present moment. And this came clear to me a couple of days ago as I was traveling across Thailand, and it was a long trip, so it made me realize that when I'm stopping at a service station and I'm like, I need that coffee, and the whole time I'm like looking forward to the stop, and then I can have a coffee, and then it's like, this is great. And much like you see people who have stopped, they're smoking, they're eating junk food, and whatever is allowing them just to escape the moment, really, because traveling is quite stressful. But it made me realize, like, when I get that coffee, I get back on the bus or whatever I'm using to travel, like the next 20 minutes, 30 minutes feel great as well. I'm getting this dopamine rush, I'm coming up with these ideas, and then after that, maybe there's some sort of crash, there's a bit more anxiety. And it just made me realize, like, it can be like, oh, I miss doing this, but it made me realize, like, I wouldn't go back on it, because it's enjoying each moment individually. And I think traveling can be a lot more stressful, and this is what we're saying with caffeine. It can take you away from what's really going on. And because I'm getting my dopamine now from doing the hardest tasks, from getting down to work in the morning, from doing exercise, a lot more exercise, and going to the gym and this sort of thing. So when you're traveling, you can't really do that, so it can feel quite draining, it can feel quite tiring. But sometimes I think when you're having a coffee or you're doing something that releases this dopamine, it's a sense of escape, and not really a chance to really reflect. And then the other thing I was going to mention, I did a matcha tea ceremony last week, and I've been playing with the idea of, okay, this is the one time that I did have caffeine, and it was in a ceremonial context. And it was good because it was about being present and using that particular thing in a ceremony setting, and it did feel more powerful. Although I am sort of questioning still, is it worth it? Because I realized that I suffered with my sleep. Like, I didn't sleep as being off caffeine, you sleep very well, but then it took me a while to sleep. The next day I felt a bit of a downer maybe. So these are the problems with on and off caffeine, and that's what made me realize the trap is that the next day you're on a bit of a downer, but then you have it again. So even if it is in a ceremonial context, we talk about, there's cacao as well, there's other tea ceremonies, with drugs, they give you something, but they take something away as well. Alcohol can maybe give you a high, but the next day it gives you the hangover, and it takes stuff from you. So it could be a case of, this is a good question to ask, is have you already gotten what you needed from these substances, from these drugs? Caffeine I've let go of now, but then whether it's alcohol as well, which I've let go of, but I do accept and understand that they did give me something for maybe it was a bit more confidence, it was getting me out there, but eventually once it was taking things away, and I think once you realize that you're losing more than you're getting, it's the time to come off it. And for me now, there is no going back with caffeine, but the question is do I sort of bring it in for some sort of tea ceremony or these other things? But I don't personally feel like it's even worth it, because sometimes it makes you think, oh, I've gone this time, but I did it this once, I haven't gone completely caffeine free. And this is sometimes what's happened with alcohol as well. Like, I haven't really drank, I say I've not drank for years, but there has been 1 or 2 or 3 instances in that time where I did have like half a glass of wine or something, and the next few days or weeks you feel a bit on edge, and you also feel like, have I gone this long without it? It doesn't feel as honest and as the integrity, despite being a ceremonial context. So this is what I want to share, and it's about whether you want to be fully present in the moment and enjoying that. There's been a real sense of peace is what I found, And even if I was to smoke marijuana or something and go to this, or mushrooms, or go to a higher state of consciousness, I'm then going to come back down again. And I've done these things a few times, like I've done ayahuasca before, and it's like, is it worth doing again? I've already taken something from, is it going to give me something different next time? Because I am aware that these things do take something from you as well. And it's whether you want to be in that happy medium all the time. And it can be quite simple. Caffeine is really hard because it's in Coca-Cola, it's in chocolate, it's in, you know, and this is if you want to completely, which I have done for most of for the 2 months, is, you know, no chocolate, no Coca-Cola, no cacao, no this, no that. And it's been difficult because people say I don't drink coffee, I'm caffeine free, but they're still drinking green tea, or they're drinking Coke, or they're eating chocolate. So it's like to really remove it all. So you're getting none at all, and you will notice that difference. You will notice a greater peace. So yeah, I wanted to share that with you, and I hope you found it useful. And is that thing of like, if you are stopping at a service station and there's this or there's that, and I even found even with junk food, it's that kind of thing as well. You have something, you're then chasing dopamine again. You know, when I last had like, I was traveling and I had like packet of crisps, or not chocolate, but some sort of pastry. And then it just got me in that dopamine, that sugar chasing thing again. So this applies into diet as well, that, you know, if you was to cut out sugar and you used to cut out all this processed foods and these foods which you know are not good for you, because it does get the mind racing straight away. The food is not really for that massive dopamine release, you know, it's literally just to nourish you and to give you energy. You know, if anything, it's taking the energy away from you, as with what I noticed with what coffee does as well. It gives you a massive dopamine rush, and I think what happens is you can follow that through and you can keep chasing and maybe be quite productive because you're trying to release the dopamine off. So I think that's where people leverage it to a certain extent. But it doesn't always do that, and it does knock-on effects to your health, and you struggle to sleep. And it's the work you're doing is the big question. Are you doing work that you actually want to do? Because cutting out the caffeine has allowed me to see, is this really what I want? Like, do I want to be doing this work all the time? And I think caffeine is the worker's drug. It just keeps you working. So I want to share that. I hope you found it useful, and I'll see you in the next video.